Hi, I'm Hannah Elliott and I'm a third-year commerce student at the University of Otago. Today I have Mark Tume joining me, who is the executive in residence, and I'm excited to ask him a few questions about himself and his career. My first question for you, Mark, is you have held a number of roles on boards of directors. What motivated you to take up governance roles early on in your career, instead of pursuing management positions within a singular company?
It was probably more luck than management, which means motivation didn't really come into it. I started my career and registered my first company really a couple of years after leaving university. So I had a history of working for myself. Ended up in banking again, kind of fell into it. And then exited at a time when I decided probably the time was right for me to go back and work for myself. And that afforded me the opportunity to consider governance because I'd been offered a few roles on some quite large boards. It was kind of a more good luck than good management, to be fair. And it grew from there because I was still sort of self-employed but working on these boards as well. And I found it really interesting and I was really happy doing it.
My second question. Infratil has had a lot of successes with you as chair. On reflection, what are some of your proudest moments and do you have any regrets?
When a board and management are aligned as we were then, with every director contributing 100%, and where the board had complete trust in each other and we had trust in management as well, it meant that our decision making was a lot better as a consequence. We could make decisions really, really quickly because of this kind of secret sauce, and we got to a position where, you know, truly the whole was greater than the sum of the parts. It was an exciting place to be. My only regret, it's probably a regret in respect of a deal, was that we sold Auckland International Airport when we did the Shell deal, but we kind of had to because we needed the cash. We were in the middle of the GFC, but we left a lot of value on the table with that one. In hindsight, it's probably one of my biggest regrets.
ESG considerations are now very important to investors and firms. As someone with experience in governance positions, have you observed attitudes towards sustainability change over the years?
I've had the really good fortune to work with long-term investors. And when you're in a long-term investment horizon game, ESG is always a factor. But I think what's changed is that this has become, recording that has become far more structured. The frameworks for thinking about ESG are far more formal. There are more and more benchmarks available as well. And our shareholders have demanded more transparent reporting on that and highlighting where they might see performance issues. I think that's been the big change.
My fourth question. Given your current role as chair of Te Atiawa Iwi Holdings and past involvement in Māori commercial ventures, could you elaborate on some of the unique aspects of these roles compared to traditional corporate environments?
Kaitiakitanga. It's this view that you're not necessarily an owner, but you're a guardian. That by its very nature means you have an intergenerational view on the assets and on the investment program. And there's a deep-seated cultural desire to exercise kaitiakitanga over particularly taonga assets, and a large group of that is actually natural resources. This results in a sort of a natural position where it gives you this wonderful opportunity to ride through short-term cycles and short-term shocks to the system. Probably the second unique endowment is a unique relationship with the Crown as a treaty partner, and that's an incredibly powerful thing. It's going to be enduring because of these two things you can bank on. One is that the Crown will be here in 100 years, and definitely Māori as tangata whenua will also be here in 100 years. And so that relationship has a really enduring nature to it. And I think the last thing is the shareholders of Māori entities are more than happy to circle the wagons when things get really tough. We're quite happy to hold dividends to keep the money within the entity, and that enabled us to ride through that and actually be in a position to buy assets when maybe other people were having difficulties with liquidity and wanted to sell.
Now for my last question. What advice would you offer soon-to-be graduates as they leave university and enter the corporate world?
A sort of interesting quote from Warren Buffett when he was asked about his ideal CEO, and he said they must be hardworking, they have to be smart, and they have to have integrity. And when he was asked what was the most important of those three, it was integrity. So always act with integrity. you're in a whole world of pain if you've got someone that's smart, that's hardworking, but has no integrity. And probably the final thing is better to be lucky than good. And what do I mean by that? Never overestimate your own ability or own impact on things. Try and be as humble as possible.
Awesome. Well, that concludes the interview. Thank you so much for joining me, Mark. It was great to hear about your career and experiences.
Thank you, Hannah.
And thank you for watching.